4.5 years after he buried his wife, Lena, came the day of reckoning for Adam Kaufman. Here he was, charged with second-degree murder, accused of killing her in the bathroom of their Aventura, Florida home.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected and sworn as the jury to try the state of Florida versus Adam Kaufman.
As he had been since Lena's death, Adam was surrounded by his protective family, including his identical twin, Seth. The family was terrified. Adam was facing up to life in prison if convicted.
I was really worried because bottom line is that the fate of my twin brother rests in the hands of 12 people I don't know.
Dade County Assistant Prosecutor Joe Mansfield methodically laid out the state's case for the jury. There was, he argued, only one possible way to explain Lena's death.
Lena Kaufman, she died as a result of mechanical asphyxiation to her neck, and the defendant, her husband, is the one that did it.
That ultimate evidence would be scientific, medical, said the prosecutor. But he wanted jurors to keep in mind the obvious. Adam Kaufman was the only adult home at the time of Lena's death, giving him the opportunity to kill her. And with his bodybuilder strength, the wherewithal, too. On top of that, Adam couldn't keep his story straight, said Prosecutor Mansfield. Version 1 came from the 911 call when Adam said he found Lena on the floor.
She's not breathing?
No! I don't know what happened. She's on the floor dying!
But a fire rescue lieutenant said Adam told him he found Lena somewhere else in the bathroom.
He told me, word for word, that she was found her slumped over the toilet. And he indicated that if she was vomiting, kneeled in front of the toilet with her head down in front of the toilet.
But later at the hospital, said that same EMT, he overheard Adam saying something else entirely.
Why is it that you took note of that third version?
I took note of it because it was completely different from the other story he had told me.
Okay.
This time he mentioned the patient being slumped over a magazine rack.
Chief Assistant State Attorney Kathleen Hogue supervised the case. She wanted jurors to know about Adam's puzzling behavior that morning and called a firefighter to the stand.
He went from hysterical to calm.
His demeanor or his emotions fluctuated?
Yes, ma'am.
From hysterical to calm?
Yes, ma'am.
And there were those other unusual things, said the first responders, that they just couldn't help but notice. Like how they'd seen Adam Kaufman dressed. Not at all like someone who said he just woke up.
It stood out for me that Mr. Kaufman was completely dressed. And if he was just doing CPR, how does he have shoes, clothes on, and why is she completely naked? It just didn't sit right. It didn't seem normal.
If, as Adam said, he'd been home all night, why was the front of his Mercedes warm to the touch?
I put my hand on the hood, and I felt that it was extremely warm.
And of course there were those marks on Lena's neck and torso. They were fresh, said the prosecutor. They weren't there the evening before when she showed her best friend her spray-on tan.
You said that she took off her jacket?
Yes, she did.
Was she nude underneath her jacket?
Yes, she was.
Did you notice any marks on her body at all?
No.
An Aventura police officer gave a stark description of the indentations he observed on Lena's neck.
And it was just consistent with fingertip-sized markings.
And they called a witness who'd been key to the investigation that morning, crime scene investigator Anna Howell. She testified about what she saw on Lena's hands.
The nail polish on Eleanor Kaufman's middle finger and index finger are chipped.
Were those chipped nails evidence of a struggle that morning? And then prosecutors presented the man they considered the most important witness of all, the senior medical examiner who determined Lena's cause of death.
What would be the manner of death?
Homicide.
And why would it be a homicide, Dr. Haima?
This mechanical asphyxiation could only occur at the hands of somebody else.
Somebody else?
Yes, somebody else.
And just to be sure there was no doubt Lena was murdered, the prosecution provided evidence she couldn't have died of something like, say, heart failure. They called the plastic surgeon who gave her an EKG before giving her breast implants, just 4 months before her death.
She was a normal, healthy patient.
Prosecutors wanted to prove that Adam wasn't all that distraught after the loss of his wife. So they called a woman he dated 2 months after her death.
You made a comment about his wedding ring.
I did. I asked him if he was married. He said that his wife had passed. And I said, so when do you think you're going to be ready to take that off?
At some point, did you guys become intimate?
Yes.
But as the state's case began to wind down, prosecutors could have no idea what would stick with the jury, any more than they knew that their star CSI witness was about to blow up on them.
Isn't it true, ma'am, that you previously had an intimate sexual relationship with Detective Angulo?